Welcome to The Author Show, where we feature new authors and books, from fiction to self-help and everything in between. You'll find it all at theauthorshow.com. That's theauthorshow.com. And now let the show begin.
Hi, this is Linda Thompson, your host for The Author Show. I'm really excited about our show today as I have the pleasure to interview a guy I've known for many years and consider a friend. He's a fabulous photographer, an avid fan of motorcycles, and now he's the author of 10 States, 10 Days, a motorcycle ride with Fredys Journey. Randall is here to talk about his book and his travels. Randall, welcome to The Author Show.
Hi, Linda. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Randall, will you give us a quick overview of 10 States, 10 Days, a motorcycle ride with Fredys Journey?
10 States, 10 Days came to me basically in 2010 when I had to go back for a high school reunion in Michigan, and I wanted to do a cross-country trip. It was my second, actually, and I bought a motorcycle in Michigan, and I wanted to photograph my travels, basically. To tell you the truth, there was no big plan for the book. I had done Fredys Journey. This is kind of a backward step. In 2000, I picked up a motorcycle in Michigan, and I took Fredy the Frog, my cast iron doorstop, on the road and had photographed Fredy on a cross-country trip. The children's book came first. 10 States, 10 Days came 10 years later, and in this case, I decided to combine them and put them into one book just to make the publishing simpler.
Okay. I have a question about Fredy. Fredy is your cast iron doorstop, but I also found the story of Fredy's origin. Will you share with us how you acquired this cute little frog?
Yeah. When I was in grade school, I visited my great-grandmother, and I fortunately got to know my great-grandmother. And she gave me this doorstop and told me that my great-grandfather had made it. When I looked into it, the genealogy, you would say, talked to family members, I found out that Fredy the Frog was actually made by my great-great-great-grandfather, probably in the 1880s or 1890s. He was a woodworker, so he made the form for it, and this was in Niles, Michigan, and there was a metalworking factory there, and it's assumed he had it cast from his wood form, just before the turn of the 19th century. And I got a kick out of that story. That was quite interesting. And as I write in the book, I'll be a little more careful with Fredy from now on, because I've taken him out on boats where he could have fallen in lakes, or put him on bridge railings where he could have fallen in rivers. And I really don't want to lose Fredy now.
You have a quality heirloom there. You don't want to lose Fredy in a river. So as I said in my intro, we've known each other for a long time, but I never realized you were an author. What prompted you to write your book around your photos?
Wow, I think it was the Fredys Journey, the very first. I just wanted to do a children's book. I have a niece who's young, and I thought that basically I'm type A, I guess is where it came from. I will go on these motorcycle trips, and I don't relax well. I take the trips to relax. Total freedom, riding, no schedule, no map, don't know where I'm going or where the day is going to end. But I wanted to do something more than just my photos. It was, okay, I need a project. I need to stay busy. I need something to think about. Just the photography wasn't enough. It was, let's put together a story out of it. I didn't expect to be called an author at any point, but I've had a lot of fun with it.
Well, I've read the book, and yes, you are an author. Did you write your book with any specific type of reader in mind?
The children's book is a given, just young children, really for parents to read to their children. 10 States, 10 Days was absolutely for other motorcyclists, anyone who loves the freedom of riding. Not a lot of people go out on their own. Maybe that's the thing, too, is I like to ride alone. I don't go in touring groups, and the whole no maps idea, just wandering. I just wanted to write stories for people. I'm reading books right now from a fellow and his wife in Europe. Jason Klimko is his name. And Jason sold everything, and they are just touring Europe. They're homeless motorcyclists right now. And I just think that's neat. I'm loving reading his work, so that was kind of the thing I wanted to write. Only I have 10 days or 2 weeks at a time to do such a thing.
So are you planning any more bike trips with or without Fredy?
Well, last year Fredy went through New Mexico for 6 days, and more recently Fredy went to Bonneville Salt Flats, a 6-day trip. Went to the Bonneville Salt Flats for the motorcycle speed trials, mainly to see Valerie Thompson, who is the world's fastest female motorcyclist. She holds a record in a streamliner at 304 miles per hour. So Fredy and I got to hang with Valerie for a couple of days and play in the salt up there.
Oh, wow. So are you going to write a book about that one?
We have photos and a story in the works, yes. So there will be more, and there's also tentative plans for a trip to Austin, Texas, whatever long route we can find, and possibly a little bit of a trip over to the Ventura, California area. I think since I'm not doing really long trips right now, that might do a book with a combination of these several trips.
Is 10 states, 10 days similar to anything else we may have read?
I highly doubt it, but the main reason was, I've searched, is that it's so photographic. I forget the number. There are over 100 photographs in 10 states, 10 days, because that's my thing. I'm a photographer by trade. The story is written around the photographs. I ride all day. I take my pictures. In fact, one person who read the book came back to me and said it's titled wrong. He said it should be called Chasing the Light and Dodging the Rain, because I'm always towards the end of the day, and I write about it in the book. I'm looking for that dusk light, that wonderful light that makes a beautiful landscape or scenic shot. The trip was done in August across the Central Plains states and then up Wyoming and Montana north and then Idaho down. It's the stormy season, and I was dodging storms everywhere. I was very fortunate to only have one truly soaking wet day. But yeah, he said Chasing the Light and Dodging the Rain should be the title. And at the end of the day, I write the story based on the photography I've done, and I get my details from my travel receipts. And I hope other motorcyclists enjoy it. Some could, from the book, they could go out and basically do the same trip if they wanted to.
Did you write about each day as you went along, or did you begin writing once you returned home?
I make some notes the hotel room at night. That's the other thing. I'm not one of those to tie a bedroll to the motorcycle. I've got enough stuff with me with the photography gear and clothing and a rain suit. I like to get cheap motels at night in small towns, mom and pop places, and hit the local cafe and just that Americana kind of thing. It's traveling on a budget, a little bit like that Jason and his wife I talked about in Europe. And I'm learning Europe from them, and I hope he's learning a lot about America from my book that way. And I make notes at the hotel at night, and I look at maps in the hotel at night, but I only highlight where I've been that day. They're page-by-page maps, so I don't look forward for the next day. I don't plan ahead. I get home, and that's when I run the pictures through the computer and go through my travel receipts and really start writing the story.
You began 10 States, 10 Days and Fredys Journey in Michigan. Why did you select Michigan as your starting point for both times?
Simple. It's my home state. I'm from Chelsea, Michigan, and I have friends over in Kalamazoo because I went to college there. The first trip was a friend of mine, a female, who had to have back surgery 3 times. And she called me up and said, I can't ride my motorcycle anymore. Would you like to have it? And I said, yes, I would. And I flew up to Michigan, and I got her motorcycle and made the first trip. And then that motivated me that when my high school class reunion came around 10 years later, nobody was going to give me a motorcycle this time. So I got on Craigslist and started hunting. And that didn't work very well. But my sister, her employer had a motorcycle for sale, this Honda Nighthawk 750. That was, at the time, 15 years old and only had 17,000 miles on it. And he sold it to me for a very right price and actually stored it in his climate-controlled garage for 7 months after I paid for it until I flew up and got it and made the 10 States, 10 Days trip. And there was no plan as far as that it would be 10 states in 10 days either. I just had it out, and there was a huge change. I was going to go up the west coast of Michigan and take a ferry across to Wisconsin. I got to the ferry, and I hadn't looked detail-wise. The ferry wasn't going to leave for 6 hours. So I decided I wasn't going across to Wisconsin. I had lunch, and I headed for the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and Lake Superior, because it dawned on me I'd never seen Lake Superior.
That's the luxury of being able to travel with no set itinerary. So is there a message in 10 States, 10 Days that you would like readers to remember?
It's about freedom of the road. This is a cliche. It is all very cliche, but I've done it, and it is so fun. I'd recommend it to anyone who rides. You could do it in a car, in a cage, we call them. But I mention this because I don't wear headsets and have music. I've read books by motorcyclists who think of it as a business trip. There is a fellow who has a group on LinkedIn. The CEO Ride is the group. And his business book was written on his Harley-Davidson traveling. And I don't know how he did that, because I just clear my mind and concentrate on riding safe and enjoying the scenery and looking for good photos. It's freeing. It's freeing. I don't have headsets with radio. The music's in my head, which can backfire. It was terrible. Idaho was one of my favorite states. It was just so beautiful following the Salmon River. And I couldn't get the B-52's Private Idaho song out of my head. And that about killed me. But once I got that cleared, it was okay. And I really enjoyed the beauty of the Salmon River in northern Idaho, and the photographs show it. It's hard doing a radio interview here. I'd love to show my pictures.
Randall, will you read us an excerpt from 10 States, 10 Days, A Motorcycle Ride with Fredys Journey?
Certainly. I'm going to do a page here. Fredy writes letters home to his friends at the pond in Michigan, and with the help of Bodell. And his friends at the pond in Michigan have human friends. The frogs call us humans. The human friends can read the letters home that Bodell writes on Fredy's behalf. This is a letter from Mississippi. It says, "Dear Fuzzy Pixie Bruce, Buttons, and Sheila, last night we stopped at a motel in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, because Bodell saw a sign that said motel had a laundromat. I think it's silly these humans want to clean clothes all the time. We were supposed to ride to the Gulf of Mexico tonight. He was tired, so was I, so I guess it was okay. In the morning, look at my picture! We made it to the Gulf of Mexico. This is my ultimate portrait, proof that I can go where the birds fly. There are lots of seagulls, like the ones that visit the pond, and pelicans. They are very scary looking, but Bodell says they eat fish and probably never seen a frog before. I think I'll stay close to Bodell. Pelicans don't seem to like him. This is part of the Atlantic Ocean, and nobody, not even the birds, can see across it. It's even bigger than Lake Michigan. The water tastes terrible, really salty. I hope I find some pond water when we go to Louisiana." From Fredy and Bodell.
I don't know of a kid that wouldn't love that. So where can we learn more about you, about your wonderful photography, and most of all, where can we purchase 10 States, 10 Days, A Motorcycle Ride with Fredys Journey?
Well, my commercial photography website is randallbohl.com. It's www.randallbohl.com. And there's a link there to my books. They are sold on Amazon.com, and you can see the rest of my work. There are videos. There's all my commercial photography.
Randall, I can't tell you what a pleasure it's been talking with you today about your book. Not only have I read 10 States, 10 Days, but I've seen your other photographs as well, and you have a remarkable talent for capturing the moment. When you add words to accompany your photos, that just made it even better. Thank you for visiting with us today, and when you write your next book, will you come back to chat with us again?
Absolutely, and thank you very much. I've enjoyed this.
The photographs in Randall's book are stunning, and he's written a travelogue that makes me want to take the same journey. His easygoing writing style makes for a wonderful read as he travels across the U.S. while meeting some fascinating people, viewing some beautiful parts of our country, all the while experiencing some weather-related challenges. Fredys Journey was written for children and is equally interesting, and I believe that all youngsters will enjoy the story. And I thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to The Author Show. Find out more about authors and their work at theauthorshow.com. Theauthorshow.com. Tune in next time to another great author on The Author Show.